What's going on? Thank you so much for tuning back in and listening to another episode of 5 Minute Major, a podcast about people who are having a great impact in minor hockey, and in this case, beer league hockey or rec league hockey. So I'll do a quick intro for our guest today. But this gentleman started playing hockey in his early 30s. He did it as a passion to learn the sport. I'll let him tell a little more of his story. But entrepreneur, dad, husband, hockey player, and also, what else did you add, Pete?
Sports cards enthusiast.
Sports cards enthusiast.
Yeah.
I like that.
Fisherman.
Fisherman. Peterborough taxpayer.
Yeah. Season ticket holder to the Peterborough Pete's.
Hey,
yeah.
You are?
Long time.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Pretty much since we moved there.
How long has it been?
9 years, 8 years, 9 years since we moved to Peterborough.
Okay, nice. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah, man.
And you moved there, you and your wife. We'll do a quick intro on you.
Sure.
And talk a bit about yourself.
Yeah.
And why we're here. I'm super excited. By the way, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I am a co-founder of Canadian Beer League, which provides adult hockey programming for many different markets in Ontario.
Yeah.
I myself was, as you mentioned, new to the sport as an adult.
Yeah.
I gladly, where I lived at the time, had a place to go as a beginner to join fellow grown-ups who were new to the game to experience it, and I totally fell in love with the sport. And then when Shelby and I moved to Peterborough, I wanted to continue my journey as a grown-up, learning and improving, but there were no programs in our town, in our new hometown, to support that. So together we developed our own version of what I had joined before and opened it up to the masses. And despite COVID being a real jerk about it, announcing itself about 2 weeks after we started.
Oh, was it that soon?
We've since expanded across the province of Ontario and have, I think, 17 different cities that host programs for Canadian Beer League, and we continue to grow.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I can't remember you. I'm going to give us some timelines.
Okay.
Dundas Square Joey. That would have been, I'm thinking, I would have seen you way after that, because that was fun.
I stopped bartending there when I was 30, which was 9 years ago.
When this started for you, was it in Toronto when you were bartending, or was it, I know, outside of what people will read on the About Us on Canadian Beer League,
right?
But just a bit of, you weren't doing this.
No, last time we saw each other, I hadn't even started to learn how to play hockey yet myself, let alone start a business that helps other people do it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I grew up playing road hockey until the streetlights came on and Mom yelled at me to come in for dinner like most suburban Canadian kids would have, but never played ice hockey. I played soccer and a little bit of tennis. My main focus was music. I was a musician, played drums and guitars and bands and cool stuff like that. More time in the woods smoking joints with my buddies and less time at the rink or in organized sports. But not to put like a downer note on things, but right after my dad died, I was 29. And I guess there's that little bit of like, grab life by the horns kind of scenario. You get introduced to the concept of mortality and you're like, oh man, like I don't want something I want to do to go past me any longer, because I had been thinking about like, oh, I wish I grew up playing hockey and like now my chances are gone and I'll never get to do it. And I was like, nah, screw that, I'm doing it. So found a program in Toronto to join and just totally fell in love. I loved the people that I was in it with. I loved the sport. I loved everything about it. And not too far after starting to learn how to play, I went on a work trip to a trade show in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. And we went to one of our clients' booths and she was asking me like, hey, what's going on? What's new? I was like, actually, what's new is like, I started learning how to play hockey. And she's like, oh, you want to talk about hockey? You should talk to her. And she gestures to her colleague, who is now my wife, Shelby. And like, I look at her and she smiles and like the chorus of angels starts singing and I'm like totally in love with her. She's so beautiful and she's so friendly and turns out she played at an extremely high level. She got a full ride scholarship in the NCAA. She played Division I in the ECAC for Quinnipiac, and obviously hockey was in her blood, ran through her veins, and it was pretty cool. Like, is dichotomy the right word? Or it was like me as a grown-up who's completely new to it, and her now as a grown-up who's on her way out because her schooling is over, and there was realistically no place for her to go at the time as a talented female hockey player. Right. So she's like, cool, got an education, gonna get a job in the field that I went to school for, and kind of leave hockey behind me. And in a way, she sort of like got connected to hockey again, but in a very different way. And so, you know, we fall in love, and we decide to start a life together, and we moved to Peterborough, Ontario together. Bit of a long story as far as how and why. I can tell that on another podcast, I guess. But yeah, we ended up in Peterborough, and I wanted to continue my journey as a grown-up, you know, learning and improving and playing the sport that I suddenly fell in love with. And there were no programs in Peterborough for a grown-up who wanted to get better at the sport. I was driving as far as Oshawa for like 6:30 a.m. Friday classes and things like that. Oshawa, Ontario. But yeah, so like, you know those ideas you get in the shower, like no distractions, nothing on, your mind is clear. I was like, we should just start one. Like, let's do one here. There's no way I'm the only one in this town who this could work for. So what our whole organization started as is beer league hockey practice. And we branded it, we got the website, we rented 2 hours of ice at the Memorial Center where the Petes play. Okay. And we hosted like a free practice and hired buddies who are the videographers and photographers, and we got, you know, the jerseys made and all the stuff ready to go, and we held like a free practice to sort of showcase what this whole thing was about. And it was so fun and like wicked successful. Like all the people we could have wanted were there. Everyone thought it was so cool. It was such a great idea. And we announced that we're opening registration for the spring season, and we booked the ice, and we were so pumped, and it sold out in like a day. And we're like, yeah, let's go. And then COVID hits. And like, so the event that we did was February 29th, 2020.
Literally.
So like 2 weeks later, pretty much the whole world's like, nah, not today. But despite all that, we sort of worked our way through rescheduling, and like people were obviously very understanding and gracious about it. And then got it going eventually, and figured, you know, Peterborough can't be the only town that has grown-ups who want to learn and improve. So we did 4 more cities the next year, and then 4 more cities after that, and fast forward to today, and we're in, I think, 17 different markets.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the journey to where you are today.
And it's cool because, like, you know, Shelby and I started it together, and I understand what it's like to be a grown-up who's new to the sport. And she went through the most like intense, high-end, high-level, you know, training and development and all that stuff too. So her perspective, like kind of where it can meet in the middle, it was kind of a perfect storm in that way. And both of us with, you know, marketing backgrounds, and like her like her grasp on like organizational behavior, and just like her ability to run the business and run operations for the business, like all, you know, relationship things aside, I can't imagine there being a better person in the entire world than her at running the company the way that she runs it. Right. So it's working really well.
That's awesome.
And we knew that we would be able, because some people are like, oh man, you're like working with your wife, like how, like don't you guys argue all the time or whatever? Like we knew that we would be able to do it because we renovated a house together. And after we were done renovating the house, we still very much loved each other and got along quite well. And we had heard like, man, I can't change a light bulb without losing my mind.
Of course.
Yeah, so we knew that there was something there as far as like a compatibility professionally as well as emotionally.
I like what you're talking about, the contrast, right? It's almost like this jump off point where you were starting and she was on this transition into potentially a transition with maybe what she thought out of hockey, or whatever that journey is going to be for people that are played high level and go on to do work, right, or play rec league or whatever. Right. So that's cool.
she had the opportunity to go and work in hockey on a professional level.
Oh, okay.
She got a job offer from, I think, the Maine Mariners, somewhere down in the States. I think it was the East Coast League.
Right.
And because she was done school and had some commitments to her family that she wanted to keep, she turned that down and moved back to Hamilton and decided to just like, you know, leave hockey behind a little bit.
Awesome.
And now, sure enough, it's like, yeah. Right when you think you're out, they pull me back in. Yeah.
Al Pacino line.
That's right.
Dude, I love this story. It's so much better coming from you, which is why we're doing the podcast, as opposed to reading it on the text. You know what I mean? On the website. Yeah. This is why I think it's such a, you know, when Shelby and I were talking, and he's like, you know, Pete's got this beer league thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, I immediately went to the website. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I hadn't even thought about, for me anyway at the time, this, I would call a group, right? This ICP, if you will, this persona of folks who would need access to really good discounted equipment. So
I don't know what ICP means.
Ideal customer profile.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, huge nerd. I love it. What surprised you, I guess, going through this? Is there one or two things, you know, you and Shelby kicked this thing off, you're on your journey? This started 6 years ago, I think, with you both, right?
2020,
so,
yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Well, I guess technically the idea and like the work started to go into getting it off the ground in 2019, but ultimately like officially established in 2020 as like an actual thing.
I'll give you a 100-day window before the first practice.
Yeah.
So we'll say 6 years. What was, I guess, surprising for you, or memorable, I guess? Surprising is a good one because it could be great or not so great. But what was maybe surprising for you as you guys went through this journey, maybe then, early days, and even still now?
Part of me, I think, was surprised at how quickly it took off. I didn't know that the market for what we were offering was as strongly sought after as it appeared to be. And we're not the only ones in the space. Like, we're not trailblazers. We didn't come up with the idea of, you know, adult hockey practice.
Right.
But I think, you know, the way we did it and where we did it, I think definitely helped us accomplish what we've accomplished so far. As far as what surprised me getting off the ground, I think the availability of ice surprised me. I had no idea.
How much availability?
No. How freaking difficult it is to find ice in a town that's not at stupid o'clock.
Yes.
Or, you know, in the middle of the day on a weekday or whatever. I think one of the main barriers to entry for us expanding into any market is our inability to find ice that's available, especially if we're doing like a league where you need to have 2 hours next to each other that are at reasonable times, where somebody who's a grown-up who has a life and a job and a family can actually go play, come home, go to bed, wake up the next morning and be able to function because they're on more than 3 hours sleep. You know, it's the beer league way to play late at night or on a Sunday or whatever. But I think struggling to be able to get, and once we get ice, we sink our claws into it and like we'll run at a deficit if, you know, we get the ice and we know we can't fill a full program with it yet because we don't have the time or whatever. We're like, no, hold that, because down the line, because once you have it, that's yours. It's sort of grandfathered.
I know a guy who's building an app where you could timeshare your ice if you want to sell it or share.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like a catch corner?
The catch corner is good for you to book the ice, but if you already had the ice and say you wanted to rent half of it, or you had a standing time, like there already is.
He's going to be across from you one of these days at this table, or a table like this.
I know who it is, but
cool.
More to come on that. But it is one of the, you mentioned it, the barriers of entry.
Big time.
And I'll save you the stat, but you know the number of hockey rinks that are being built in Canada is so small, it would terrify you. And like you mentioned, you know, earlier, it's actually one of the 3 major barriers of entry to the sport: accessibility to equipment.
You would know something about that, wouldn't you?
Well, this article was posted last summer, right? CBC article that like literally broke this down. I've also been paying for hockey for 7 years with my son, so I personally know. I've been a manager of 2 teams, so like I've seen the ice costs like you're seeing every day, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But not enough rinks are going up. The price of it, if you can't get your hands on it, is insane. Yeah, I would agree with you. I love what you said though earlier before, is the way you're doing it and where you're doing it. Because adult hockey isn't new.
Right.
And you mentioned in Toronto there's a league called ASHL.
Yeah.
Like I see them
And
all
there's
over.
True North as well.
True North. There's
there
all
are well-established
Right.
leagues in a lot of the sort of major city centers.
Right. So when you and I were talking, I almost thought of you as like the OMHA version of I'm trying to compare it to minor hockey, right? But for me, because it's the easiest pattern. But I guess when I look at what you're doing, elaborate a bit on that, like the way you're doing it and where you're doing it. Why is that different?
Well, I think the accessibility to ice is definitely part of that as well, and where there's demand for the product. So in a lot of smaller towns, like the one that we're living in,
Sure.
The ice is a little bit easier to come by. Not to say that has been simple, but even like, not Peterborough proper, but the surrounding townships,
Right.
they have their own community centers, and often we're able to secure decent times there. And then if we put the programming together for practice, for example, there isn't anything like it anywhere close. So people are more than willing to drive, 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back to be able to get, because it's kind of, so it's kind of like, it's your only option. And then even expand to the leagues. There are some leagues, there's like, a league that the city runs on Sunday nights, that's a pretty fast. There's a summer league as well, great guy organizes that league, also pretty fast. What we're trying to do is create an environment where people who are a little bit less skilled have a place to go where they can compete for the league side of things.
Right.
And that also is kind of an opportunity to create something that is a narrow focus on a niche that's not necessarily the bread and butter for any of the other more sort of well-established leagues that exist. Chances are, especially with obviously how difficult it is to get ice in any particular market, odds are low that we're even going to get to the point where we have divisions. So we'll do like a 6-team league because we can happen to get 3 consecutive hours. Maybe someday we'll do 8-team leagues. But now if we're talking about doing multiple divisions, it's so much ice that we would need to find. So I think as an organization and as expansion happens, I would prefer for us to obviously like stay within and grow within the markets that we already have established ourselves. But as far as like expansion and growth goes, the opportunities lay in other small municipalities, other small communities in Canada that don't have the learn to play programs and don't have like an organized league for individuals who aren't lights out good at hockey. And like small towns, like so many people would figure like, oh, you grew up in Sudbury, for sure you are a really good hockey player because you were born with skates on and were on the ponds every winter and yada yada yada. That's not the case. Not everybody in Sudbury grew up playing hockey, but all of the leagues exist. All the leagues that exist there are pretty much catering to those who are really good at hockey already, right?
And what's cool to think about what the program too is you also provide folks not only the entry point into the sport, right? They want to learn the skates, shoot, whatever, the whole program about it. But you can also graduate them into these leagues, which is really cool. And that I think is when you talked about like what you're doing different, being able to have this graduation path to not only just get people introduced to the sport, but then also create a path for them to stay in it. And that I think is a huge differentiator when you look at the sustainability of people wanting to continue to play just recreationally, you know what I mean? Yeah. Keep it fun, keep it light. Right. Go out there and crush people all the time, right? Like you'll have fun playing the game. Yeah. And I talked to an equipment manufacturer earlier this week that had really good data supporting that statement around like the barrier of entry. Certainly once we're over that hump, that seems to be, there's a lot of programming like you're doing as well to help people get in there. But the biggest area is around keeping people in the game. And that was I think, a good example of what you're doing here, which is a bit different than some of the other adult leagues. You need to learn, you already know how to play hockey.
Right.
You can't just go into ASHL at Westwood, I get destroyed. You know what I mean? I have to start somewhere and learn how to do what you're doing. So I love that.
Yeah, like the sort of the storybook journey for anybody getting involved with any of our programs, because we've got like kind of, you could call them stepping stones, and in any market where we're fortunate enough to be able to host, you know, most of the different programming that we do, the sort of the storybook journey would be somebody, okay, I've never played hockey before, but I really want to get into it. I'm going to join year league hockey practice. And lots of people who are genuinely new to the sport, they don't know if they shoot left or shoot right, they can't skate, whatever. They're like new.
Right.
They'll join and be like, I want to learn how to play hockey. And we're like, okay. So they go through a few seasons and you know, they learn how to stop and start, and they know, okay, I shoot this way, and they can start to lift the puck because they're going through all of these exercises to enhance their skills. And then like, okay, but I want to play. It's like, okay, so now join a shinny program. So we have year league hockey practice, which is where you can start. Now you want some organized gameplay, join a shinny. And that's like, you know, schoolyard pond hockey kind of style where everyone shows up everyone has a dark jersey and a light jersey, and you make different teams every time. Yeah, and there's no like stats or standings or keeping score, and no one's taking it too seriously. And like somebody who's very new, you know, going down the wing, and the defenseman on the other team or the defense person on the other team is like, okay, I'm going to just give them a little space. You know, I'll put a little pressure on them, but give them some time and help them build confidence and make a play, because like there's nothing at stake. No. So that's the shinny programs, and those are a great environment for that. And then because Canadian Beer League, the league, it's not a beginner league, because our hope is that you get to the point where you're just like sufficiently proficient at the sport where you're capable of skating, shooting, passing. Like you don't have to be good. And like the hope is that you're not really good, because again, like it's a fun and friendly co-ed hockey league that we like to present it as a house league for adults. One of our lines is, if you think you might be too good for Canadian Beer League, you probably are.
Yeah, right.
Right? And there's so many opportunities for people who did grow up playing.
That's going on the reel, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the Insta reel. That's perfect.
The opportunity exists for people who are skilled to go and play wherever. You can drop in at a rec league and compete and do well. Right. And there still is a disparity in skill level, and the bar and the line are blurry. So it's hard to like, how good is too good, right? And that's one of the hardest parts of managing the leagues, is deciding like, okay, at what point there's like a, what do you call that? Like a XY axis of like how good of a person are you and how good are you at hockey, and where that because there's some people who are like pretty good but understand the environment, and kind of their goal is to try and like help their teammates and keep things going, because you kind of want people in the league who can move the puck and get a play going and put a pass on somebody's tape, otherwise it's bedlam. But then there's also the kinds of people who are like, oh, are we down by one? Okay, I have the puck behind my own net, I'm going to go zip, bar down and score because I can. Yeah. And that's not the kind of person that you want in the environment. But yeah, that's been a different scenario with the practices and the league, for sure. Because everyone in the practices, they're so supportive and like, yeah, like, go, you can do it. And it's just like very, everyone's there to like lift each other up, and everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's checked their ego at the door. And then you get refs and stats and standings and team against team involved. And it's a different story as far as, exactly.
What kind of advice do you have for people that are interested? Just
do it.
Do it.
Stop thinking about it. Don't make excuses. Especially if you live somewhere where there's a beer league hockey practice or anything like it. Like we have competitors, like we're not trying to replace them. We're not trying to be like, we want the more opportunities that exist in this country for grown-ups, which is not to get on a tangent, but like there's such a strong focus on kids getting an opportunity to play. And I don't want to say that kids don't deserve to play and that we shouldn't be. Yes, I have children. I sure hope they grow up playing hockey. I really do.
They will.
But I don't think it's fair for the world to think that once you're not a kid, you're not able to try something new or start something from scratch or play a sport that you've never played before. Like your opportunity should never be behind you. We had a gentleman in Windsor join beer league hockey practice at the ripe old age of 72.
It's amazing.
He decided at 72 years old to learn how to play hockey. So it is never too late. No. You should do it. No one's going to laugh at you. Like one of our sort of culture rules is during practice, if somebody's doing a drill and they fall, everybody taps their sticks and cheers them on, right? Like if you fall, it means you're trying.
Yes.
And if you're trying, it means that you're living life and you're doing the right thing. So definitely don't say I'm too old or it's too hard. It's expensive, and that's where you come in a lot of ways as far as access to equipment goes. But yeah, like find a way to do it. Ask your friends. Awesome. Ask us. If you feel like there's a barrier that anyone in the world could help you with, there's a pretty good chance that we'll be able to at least point you in the right direction and help you try it. But like hockey's for everyone. There's nobody who shouldn't be playing if they want to.
I would totally agree with that statement.
Sure, certainly not forcing anybody to play.
No, but I would agree with you. The fact that you can start at any point in life. I'm going to learn to play the sport personally. So
I looked you in the eye when I said
when we talked about it, a few weeks back when we first got rekindled, I guess, through Shelby. I never played, so I love the sport personally, and we'll find an excuse to get into beer league hockey practice at some point.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
So, and I get like choked up.
Yeah.
Talking about this one, but we get obviously like we'll send polls out and we get feedback from a lot of people, and many nice things have been said, but this one stuck with me. Yeah. Dan Lichterman, the coach, was the coach in Mississauga. He's since moved to Sudbury, and we miss him. He told me that one of his beer league hockey practice participants came up to him and he said, "Hey man, just want to let you know I'm really glad that I joined this." He's like, "Yeah, like that's good, man. Like why? Like what's the reason why you seem, so elated to be in this?" And he's like, "It's made me a better hockey dad." Because he never played the sport, and he's in the stands and he's looking at his kid and he's, "Oh, you should be doing this and you should be doing that." And they're talking in the car and he's saying like, "I'm speaking to my son from the perspective of having no idea what he's going through." Sure. And now that I'm learning how to play, all those conversations have changed. And that to me, I was like, shit.
That's awesome. So
like
if your kid is in minor hockey, what you're saying is a prerequisite is the parents have to also try.
I think so.
I love that.
I think so.
I love that.
Well, sorry. You don't have
No, but
to.
I love the flip though, you're right.
But you shouldn't give your kid shit.
Sure.
If you haven't tried to do it yourself and you don't understand. Sorry, I'm not literally giving you crap right now.
No.
But in general,
the car ride home, trust me, it's a whole thing.
Yeah. And like I'm sure you don't speak as though you're not speaking from experience and being like this is what you should do because this is what I do. But I think that before you start pointing your finger at your little one who's out there, it will not take you very long to realize like, holy crap, are they ever really good at this? And they learned it really fast because it is wildly unnatural to move around on frozen water with knives on your feet.
It is very
friggin' so difficult.
What's the one thing hockey's taught you?
It is kind of a cheesy term maybe, but it is the great equalizer.
What do you mean?
It doesn't matter what your teammates do for a living. It doesn't matter what colored political party they cheer for. It doesn't matter any of those things that could make them labeled as any sort of specific demographic or whatever, how much money they make, whatever. Right. All that goes away. And when you're on the ice playing hockey together, they're your teammate, and you're counting on them to try hard. You're counting on them to back check. You're counting on them to enjoy themselves and be a good person. And it's like, it's peace. It's peaceful being on the ice because you're not really thinking about the past or the future. You're really in the moment. And I think that's the thing about it that I took from it when I first started was just like how everyone is on the same playing field, so to speak, when you're out there on the ice, and everything else, all other elements of your life just go away.
Right. Cool. But man, thank you so much for doing this. You are the fourth segment that we've done. One more after this, in terms of kicking off the launch of 5 Minute Major. But I really appreciate driving out here. I know the 115, the 407. I know it's free for a little bit now. Thank you, Doug, for that little stretch. But with tradition, I'm not sure if you've ever had to sign a hockey card before. Have you?
I don't have a hockey card.
Have you?
Hey,
so
that's fun.
This is our tradition on the show. Everyone that shows up has to sign their own card, and this is part of the collection.
That's very cool. Are you sending this to Beckett to get graded?
I knew you were going to ask that. The corners are going to
Yeah, for sure. All right, man.
Need your autograph. There you is. Wicked. Thank you, man. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Great. It's a great time.
Pleasure.
Yeah.